starting to get boring.
What worries me about your comment is you are a white privileged male who has no experience in it.
I mean, can I just...
I can't help what I am. I was born like this. It's an immutable characteristic. So to call me a white privileged male is to be racist. You're being racist.
There's something happening here.
Long time. An assistant chief constable go in the press and say what he had to say, and then an inspector ring me up when I was in Australia and give me another lecture. And I remember saying to him, I said, look, I'm part of a debate. How do I say trans women are not women without getting into trouble by the police? And he said, why would you want to say that? Because you know it upsets people. And I said, but that's crazy. I can walk down the street and people are upset all the time. If you're a Leaver and you see a Remain poster, you're upset. If at election time, you walk down the street, if you're a Labour voter, you see a Tory, you're upset.
I thought you were going to say a Jew.
You're upset. People get upset all the time. I said, so why is it you're so bothered about this one? Why is that? He said, because they are a brave and stunning community and we have to protect them at all costs. And we're not saying you can't say trans women aren't women, but why would you want to? Now, to me, when a police officer says that, that is a form of coercive control. And they just got unlucky that they came against me because, one, I'm an ex-policeman, so the whole mystique about policing is gone. Two, I'm not easily bullied. I'm just not easily bullied by anybody. And I have a real interest in law. So when people are talking bullshit, I'm going to call them out for bullshit. And that's what happened here. And I said to him, I said, look, if I, as a motorist, am doing a steady 35 in a 40 zone, are you going to pull me over in case I escalate to 45? And he said to me, we can do whatever we like. We're the police. That's what he said. That is what he said. And I said, actually, to be fair, he says, the traffic police can do whatever they like. Right. And I said, hold on a minute. That's a massive obfuscation. And you know it. You know it. That would not happen. And he said, well, if you don't like it, sue us. I said, that's the first sensible thing you've said all day. See you in court. And that's how we ended up at the High Court 3 weeks ago.
Let me ask you this as an ex-policeman. I mean, one of the, coming from Russia and having traveled a lot around the world, one of the things I've always thought has been wonderful about this country is the relation between the ordinary public and the police. Yeah. It's tremendous in this country, and people don't realize this because if you haven't experienced anything else, it seems normal. But, for example, the idea that in Russia you'd walk up to a policeman to ask for directions, it's unimaginable. Yeah.
Shut up. Shut up. I don't care. I don't care. Many talented people of colour were snubbed in major categories. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that. The Hollywood foreign press are all very, very racist. So, fifth time. So, we were going to do an in memoriam this year, but when I saw the list of people that had died, it wasn't diverse enough. It just, no. It was mostly white people, and I thought, nah, not on my watch. So, maybe next year. Let's see what happens. She's old school. It's the last time, who cares? Oh. Apple roared into the TV game with a morning show. A superb drama, yeah. A superb drama about the importance of dignity and doing the right thing, made by a company that runs sweatshops in China. So, well, you say you're woke, but the companies you work for, I mean, unbelievable. Apple, Amazon, Disney. If ISIS started a streaming service, you'd call your agent, wouldn't you? So, if you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and so it's already 3 hours long.
Well, I don't think England is a racist country. I mean, we've been living here. We are well respected and well, you know. So really, I mean, I don't know much about what's been happening and what's been going on. I've been reading up on it, but I hope they sort all the issues out. Really, look, I've been in a position like that myself a long time ago, where you know you do feel unwanted. But I'm sure they'll get to the bottom of it, and hopefully things get better.
And it's still happening now. We're seeing ongoing cases with grooming gangs across the country, whether it's Rochdale, Rotherham, Telford, Dewsbury, everywhere around the country. Those cases are now finally hitting the courts. But one of the people who has made sure that has happened is my next guest. Maggie Oliver is a former Greater Manchester Police detective, and she is the whistleblower for a huge number of these cases. And she was there at that press conference yesterday. Good morning to you, Maggie.
Good morning,
It is such a pleasure and an honour to meet you because of the work you've done. They made conscious decision to close down, in a number of cases, investigations, or to not deliberately not start investigations so that they didn't have to prosecute. OK, well, this is where we get to the crux of the matter. And this is where it's become very difficult politically to talk about it, and not just partly because in a lot of these cases also it's a party political issue, and it's been the let's be honest, it's Labour councils, and there has been a particular issue. Now, do I think the Labour Party's got a bigger problem with this than the Tory Party? No, I don't. But there's clearly been a particular issue in these councils, and the key issue there has been, the accusation has been that we were constantly told, Asian grooming gangs. They are almost to a man Pakistani Muslim gang. They're not any other Asian. They're not
Japanese or Chinese.
They're Pakistani Muslim. They're coming from a particular culture, a particular background. And the claim that is being made is that they were able to continue their grooming of girls, white girls in the community. They viewed the white girls as disposable, as you know, as prostitutes. They didn't have any value to them, and it would appear that the investigations didn't go forward by the police, social care, the council, because there was concern about being seen to be racist or Islamophobic. Do you think that played a role? That it was because of their ethnicity and their religion that they weren't prosecuted?
I do think that was a big part of it. But, I mean, the report itself says that, it was very clear that we had evidence to prosecute these men. And I think political correctness was part of it. I also feel that these kids were viewed as an underclass, that they didn't matter. You know, they weren't the Chief Constable's children. They were the children of families who were often from very difficult backgrounds.
Most of these children were in care, weren't they?
On Operation Augusta, yes, they were, Julia, but on Operation Span, no, they weren't.
But that's Rochdale.
And that's Rochdale. Well,
I think that it's one of the dangerous things about throwing racism around in this country, which we're doing a lot at the moment, is people become so conscious of it that things like the Manchester grooming scandal get ignored. So that, we need to be careful, that we need to call out racism when it's seen, when it's obvious, and when it's there, and we should stand together to condemn it. But for fear of sounding racist, there's been horrific things have happened in Manchester and in towns all over the north of England, and we should be careful and use racism when it's there and it's obvious, and not call someone racist just because they don't agree with you. I think people will probably do what's cheapest, won't they? So it depends whether flying or the train is cheaper. I'm not so against flying, sorry.
I mean, obviously as an actor, you have to fly all over the place.
Yeah, the carbon footprint's huge, but we make up for it by preaching to everyone how they should change their life.
Which Labour candidate, if any, do you believe can reconnect with lost voters in the north?
Who should replace Magic Grandpa? Keir
That's
Starmer?
original. That's original.
Keir Starmer.
Keir Starmer gets your vote, would he? And why Keir?
He just looks like he can take Boris on quite well. Do you know what I mean? That's what I get vibe.
You don't think any of the full women would be?
Oh, it's not about women. Jeepers creepers. Sorry.
So I just was interested in
let
your
me
view.
rewind. Any of the women. Is that better? Any woman. Because it's really important what gender you are or sex you are rather than what your policies are and how you approach politics. Come on.
What's your view on it all?
Sussex Royal. I feel sorry for them in a way, because it's difficult when you've got a new baby and all of that, and it's hard. But I just have this feeling that surely Harry must have had a chat to Meghan at some point and said, by the way, darling, this is going to be misery, and you don't have to marry me if you don't want to. And then,
well, maybe they did.
Yeah, maybe they did. But then and then you want to hop out. It's like, well, can we have the cottage back and your HRHs? I think it's really unfair because look, we've got the Queen, who is an extremely different ballgame, isn't she? she's duty ahead of everything else. And I think, when you're younger, you do want to make a life for your family. So I do empathise with them, but I do think there's a little bit of having cake and eating it, which I don't enjoy.
Call it by its name. It's racism. She's a black woman, and she has been torn to pieces.
You can't.
She has been torn to pieces.
It's not racism.
It absolutely
is. We're the most tolerant, lovely country in Europe. Let's celebrate our goodness. Not racism. It's so easy to throw the charge of racism at everybody, and it's really starting to get boring.
What worries me about your comment is you are a white privileged male who has no experience in it.
I mean, can I just...
I can't help what I am. I was born like this. It's an immutable characteristic. So to call me a white privileged male is to be racist. You're being racist.
We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall never surrender.